right, so here we're going to be talking about the geometries of our organic compounds. These are important because it does tell us a bit about the properties of these compounds. All right, so here we go. Okay, so this is a review. We are really going to focus our attention here on the last column on the molecular geometry. We're going to focus on, I'm going to check off the molecular geometry shapes that we are going to be focusing on. So we are going to be looking at linear, we are going to be looking at trigonal planar, and then all of these down here at the bottom, tetrahedral, trigonal pyramidal, and bent. I do think it's important that you remember where these shapes came from. They are based off of the electron geometry, and so what we're looking at here is looking at our central atom and what is happening around the central atom. So for a molecule that's linear, I will have a central atom, and I'll have two atoms attached to that particular central atom, and that's going to give me a linear shape. With something that is trigonal planar, I am going to have what I'm going to call 3 electron regions around that central atom. Now, if all of those regions are bonded, so that means I have 3 atoms around that central atom, that is going to give me a trigonal planar molecule. I'm going to go ahead and skip bent trigonal planar electron geometry. We generally don't see that very much in organic chemistry, but the last piece we see a lot. So the electron geometry of tetrahedral. We are dealing with carbons, oxygens, and nitrogens, and so we're going to see all of these shapes. So if I have 4 bonded atoms around that central atom, that is going to give me a tetrahedral shape. If I have 3 bonded atoms and 1 lone pair around that central atom, that's going to give me a shape of trigonal pyramidal. And if I have 2 atoms and 2 lone pairs around that central atom, that is going to give me a bent shape. All right, in the next slide, I'm going to show you, with using the ball and stick models, what these actually look like. Okay, so I'm going to use these molecules to demonstrate the shapes of what these 3D molecules look like. So the first is our linear example, and that is carbon dioxide. And so generally when we're using ball and stick models like this, if you have a model kit, which I highly recommend, you are going to use the black balls for carbon, and then oxygen is typically the red balls. Most model kits will have a list of colors and what colors represent the atoms. Okay, so for carbon dioxide here, so I've got my carbon as my central atom, and I have 2 oxygens on either side. Now this shape is going to be linear. If you remember back to first semester, the double bond only counts as 1 electron region, and so literally 180 degrees would be the geometry for this molecule, which is linear. Okay, here is our example of trigonal planar. Now for this molecule, I have an oxygen, I've got 2 hydrogens, and then again I've got my carbon here in the middle. This molecule is flat. It has a flat shape. I have 3 atoms around that central carbon, and so that makes this a flat, like a flat triangle, where my carbon atom is the center of my triangle. All right, tetrahedral. We deal with carbons all the time, and so most of the time when carbon has 4 bonds, 4 bonding regions, it is going to take on a tetrahedral shape. So this tetrahedral shape, it's almost kind of like a pyramid, where 3 of the hydrogens form the base of my pyramid, and 1 of the hydrogens forms the top, and I've got my carbon atom in the middle. My trigonal pyramidal shape, I'm using ammonia for my trigonal pyramidal shape. Now notice here, I have a lone pair on that nitrogen. That lone pair takes up space. So a lot of times what I'll do with these is I'll grab a different color. Normally nitrogen is blue. Sometimes I'll grab a different color and I'll just put an empty stick as my lone pair, just so I can see that that is taking up space. But this is going to give me that trigonal pyramidal shape. All right, last is water, and this is what water looks like. So for water, I've got my oxygen as my central atom, I've got 2 hydrogens, and then I have 2 lone pairs on that oxygen, and that does take up space. And so it does create this overall bent shape for the molecule. Okay, so now that we know or have a visual for what these shapes look like, when we are looking at an organic compound, we want to first determine the carbon backbone. Now, we are going to see that sometimes our carbons are going to have 4 separate bonding sites. These are going to be saturated carbons. And when we say that, we mean that this has all single bonds. And this is going to give us a tetrahedral shape. So if I have something like this, okay, and I'm looking at my carbon backbone. I don't know if you can see that yellow. Okay, that is going to be my carbon backbone. So both of these carbons are going to have that tetrahedral shape. Now, if I am dealing with an unsaturated carbon, these are going to have 2 or 3 separate bonding sites. If my carbon, so unsaturated means that I have double or triple bonds. If I have a molecule where the carbon is double bonded, that is going to give me something that is trigonal planar. So that might look something like this. Oops. I can draw. Okay. And again, I'm looking at that carbon backbone and I'm looking at the shape around that carbon backbone. And so that carbon atom, or each of those carbon atoms, is going to be trigonal planar. Now, if I have something that has a triple bond, that is going to be linear. And that will be something that looks like this. And again, looking at my carbon backbone here, right, those carbon atoms, the shape around each of those carbon atoms is going to be linear. Okay, so that's the first thing, is to figure out what your carbon backbone looks like and what the bonding scheme is for those carbon atoms. Next, we're going to talk about what happens when we add something other than carbon to our backbone. All right, so let's take a look at these. So the first, we have a heteroatom, where that heteroatom is not a center atom, right? So I have chlorine here that is not part of my carbon backbone. When I am looking at my carbon backbone, right, I'm looking at just the highlighted area, and each of those carbons is single bonded. I have 4 unique bonding sites for each of those carbons, and so that is going to give me a tetrahedral shape. Okay. The chlorine does not have its own geometry because it is not a center atom. Now, if I look at the next compound, here you're going to see I have a double bonded oxygen on the last carbon. That is going to change the geometry for that carbon atom. That is going to be a trigonal planar shape, whereas the previous 2 carbons are still going to be tetrahedral. And that is because they both have 4 unique bonding sites, whereas that third carbon only has 3 unique bonding sites, and that makes it a trigonal planar. Now, if that heteroatom becomes part of our backbone extension and it becomes a center atom, then it does have its own geometry. So in this molecule, each of these carbon atoms, just like the ones above, these each have 4 unique bonding sites. They are going to be tetrahedral. Now, my oxygen has 2 bonds, 2 lone pairs, and so that is going to make it a bent shape. So just like the water we looked at in the last slide. Or not the last slide, but the slide before that. Okay, my last molecule here, again, these carbon atoms are all tetrahedral. They have 4 unique bonding sites. Again, that gives it that tetrahedral shape. My nitrogen is part of that backbone, and it is a center atom. Here, this nitrogen has 3 bonds and 1 lone pair, and so that makes it trigonal pyramidal, so just like the ammonia.